Was a teacher. I think she would think it appropriate that we begin today with a show and tell. This is her college Shakespeare book. All plays of William Shakespeare. It was bought for $5.45, and the date is, she bought it was June 1955. Now, I was born in October of 1955, so she was pregnant with me. Daddy used to say that they were married in July of 55 just to watch me do the math. I checked the records. No, they had been married almost a year by then. Ran off to get married a year before, off to the exotic town of Smut Eye, Alabama, to wake the preacher up in the middle of the night and his wife as a witness. This week, Frankie and Paul and I found some old love letters between Mama and Daddy that we didn't know existed. Paul read the first one out to me and Frankie and Jeff. Sweetheart, it began. Well, baby, Jeff and I said, TMI. We can't go there. But when I think of their relationship, besides the fact that they were just simply crazy about each other, I think what I remember the most about them is that Daddy could make Mama laugh. And she would laugh and laugh and laugh. So you granddaughters, picture this. Momsy is a sophomore in college, 19 years old, expecting her first child, me, sitting in this English class with this book probably perched on her very pregnant stomach. I'll give you a moment for that image to sink in. Like most English students, Mama had underlined and things, written notes in the margins, even in places, doodles and pictures. But in Act 2 of As You Like It, you can see over the top here where she has scribbled two names at the top. Charles Dean Taylor, Paula Francis Taylor. Not knowing, of course, whether I would be a boy or a girl, she wanted to see what those names looked like. This is what expectant mothers do often. They write the names out. So I want to ask each of you to take just a moment and imagine, picture in your moment, scene in your mind. Just picture this young girl. 19 is just a girl. And imagine, if you can, this young girl sitting there in this classroom, probably the professor droning on about something, and here's this 19-year-old girl writing these names in the corner of her Shakespeare book and dreaming all that might lay ahead of her in her life. Just picture that for a moment. Don't you wonder what her dreams were? Don't you wonder what she imagined her future to be? Don't you wonder if she imagined a great family, all of us? Wouldn't we give anything to know what dreams were floating up through that creative, this imaginative, wonderful mind of hers? What dreams she had? Celia Taylor was a creative, imaginative force in this world. She was a dreamer. That's what makes imagining that picture so easy in a way. She was a dreamer. But more than that, she was herself a dynamo in the world. She was not just a daydreamer. She had this incredible will, this persistence, this drive to make those dreams come true. In the end, I think, Van, you and all those sitters, you all who are, in case you didn't know this, you know that you are all saints, don't you? You know this, don't you? I thought you did. You know of her incredible will to live, but also of her sweetness, don't you? On her very last day, I think it was the hospice nurse, and I won't embarrass Mindy by saying her name, sitting on the third row back there. Mindy said, "In my whole career, I've never seen anyone with such a will to live." Most people, she said, most people would have given up. I thought she was going to say days or weeks ago, but she said, no, most people would have given up years ago. Years ago. And then she said, "Miss Celia really wants to be here. She really wants to be here." That dynamic, passionate will to want to be here, combined with that idealism, and I guess we could say that incredible sense of adventure, that made Celia Taylor the most important force in this family's life, certainly in my life. So what happened when that 19-year-old girl, that dreamer, put her Shakespeare book down and continued that adventure that was her life? Well, she went on to give birth to Charles Dean Taylor, then Lydia Francis, and in the meantime, did I mention, double majored in English and speech. She became an authority in Chaucer, Shakespeare, and the novels of Joseph Conrad and William Faulkner. You know, when we were growing up, we didn't know at the time that so many of her sayings were actually quotations from these great works. When we forgot to say thank you or something, she would lament, "How sharper than a serpent's tooth is it to have a thankless child." I learned later that that was King Lear's response to his horrible daughter, gonorrhea. Time went on, and she had Paula Robin about the time she completed her master's thesis in English. She became interested in myths and early folk tales and animal fables, such as the Brer Rabbit stories from Uncle Remus. There was a theory in that era that all of those stories came from Africa, despite parallels in American Indian culture. Because according to this theory, they couldn't have come from Native Americans because it was believed Indians have no sense of humor. She considered this idea racist and set out to disprove it. She did groundbreaking scholarly work in the origins of Creek Indian mythology, resulting in a book written by her Auburn professor, Current Garcia, entitled Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And so, with this master's under her academic belt and 3 children under 3, I'll let that sink in a minute, off she and Daddy went to Columbus. Daddy to be a speech therapist and Mama to be part of the original founding faculty of a new college called Columbus College. And while she was at it, added a 4th child, Robert Jeffrey, to make a complete set of the 4s. There, for the next 30 years, she was a dynamic and beloved professor of both English and speech for countless students. When the Baptist preacher preached in 1960 not to vote for John Kennedy because he was Catholic, well, that did it for both Mama and Daddy. That's when Mama discovered the Episcopal Church, where she loved the liturgy, the music, and the open-mindedness and the wonder of the Reverend Dewey Gable, one of our family heroes. And how shall I say this? If you ever remember getting into an argument, she would say an informed discussion, it became clear that Mama had spent years all through the 60s listening to and critiquing persuasive speeches on every single social issue of the times. She knew about everything. She was one of the original Kennedy Democrats, passionate, idealistic liberals who believed that we as a great society really could change the world for the better. That was a fundamental ideal that I think she left us all with, even if some of her descendants went over to the dark side. But if you ever got into one of these discussions, that professional academic debate side, she taught debate after all. That debate side of her would come out and she could flat out nail your argument to the wall. She was sharp and she was good. But I want you grandchildren especially to really grasp and understand that idealism that Momsy had. We can change the world for the better. We can change the world. If she had been able to talk and express herself in her fullest power and capacity these past years, she would have found a way to say to each one of you, you can do it. You can do anything you want to do, anything you put your mind to do, you can do it. Jeff, do you remember the advice she gave you, like all of us, before one of your job interviews? Now, if they ask, can you do so-and-so, you say yes, and then you go out and learn how to do it. So that's what you do. Now, in the interest of academic integrity and honesty, we must note that sometimes Mama's ideals often tend to be in the same category as what Mama wanted. Those marrying into the family recognize this first. If you said, hey, I think we ought to go to the midnight movie in Columbus, she would say, Tom and Scott, we could. Which is Celia speak for no way in hell. We could, or we might want to, until hours later you think, wait a minute, what just happened? Now the family therapist might call this manipulative, but no, it was just Mama helping people to see reason. She always said that if she couldn't do something like math, she would, as she said it herself, just reduce that to the level of unimportance. There sure was a lot that she could do. And with all of her gifts and talents, there was this incredible generosity that burned through her and Daddy's life together. She was an accomplished musician, an accomplished pianist and organist. How many weddings did she play for? How many wedding dresses did she make? How many times did she take Frankie and Paula to some dress store and say, see anything you like? And you go home and make it. How many young adults did she and Daddy take in over the years to mentor and support? Even when they were counting pennies at Auburn, come on, Bess, move in with us. Move in with us. Charlesy, let's look at this magazine, 17. What looks good in there? Charlesy went off to college and Rush. Mama had all of her dresses, her accessories, everything she needed. When Bess informed her family that at age 16, 2 weeks into your college career, she was in love with a man named Victor. Oh, and did I mention he was from Puerto Rico, which might as well have been to the moon. How is my Eufaula family going to? Don't worry, Mama said. We'll figure out a way to make it work. At Columbus College, Rudine, you move in with us. Rudine, you move in with us. We'll figure out a way to make college work for you. You move in with us. How many along the way did they mentor, encourage, take in? Judy Parker, Guy Dean, Deanna? Who knows how many? As Bess put it so well. No matter what house it was, Auburn, Columbus, the big house, there was always room for one more. Always room for one more. Her generosity went the other way, too, to the older generations, to those older folks that Mama dedicated herself to, visiting Seal and Auntie, making Mommy and Daddy's 50th anniversary so incredibly special. She even wrote a song that all of us sang. Every Friday afternoon, from 3rd grade to the time I could drive, Mama picked me and Frankie up from school and took us to cello lessons about an hour away in Auburn. And along the way, we would talk about what was going on in the world, the significance of social issues, and the concerts and the plays. Oh, and she made all the costumes for the Shakespeare plays at Columbus College for years. For my 5th grade science project, I wanted to do something on the brain. I was going to get a poster and draw a picture of a brain with some arrows. But no. We had to construct a 3D paper-mache life-size brain on the end of this great board with threads going out to each one. It took us till 2 o'clock in the morning, but I, by God, went to the fair next morning with my brain in my hand. In some ways, our whole growing up with Mama was a great adventure, coming from some dream or idea that she cooked up. She didn't just go out to get some continuing education in English. No, she enrolled in the Shakespeare Institute at Stratford-on-Avon, England. No, we don't just fly over there. We get on the great ship. We are part of history. One of the last voyages of the SS United States. And we tour France and England with a little camper and spend the summer at Rye Peace Farmhouse in the Cotswolds in England. A summer that drew us so close together as brothers and sisters, and we had the time of our lives. I came home one day to see diagrams all over the kitchen tables, planned she'd come up to buy an old school bus and take out all the seats and put in sofas and chairs and go all over the country. An early form of an RV. Well, that didn't work out. Lots of her dreams didn't, you know, but that didn't matter. Something would. So she persuaded her dad to make a pop-up camper, just to build it. And off we went, the 9 of us, cousins, traveled up the East Coast, Charleston, Jamestown, Williamsburg, Niagara Falls, all the way up to Montreal, Expo 67. And yes, we had the time of our lives. As we did with everything. She would announce, this week we're going to have foods from India or Mexico or Germany, and we would want, can't we just have hamburger like everybody else? No, anybody can have hamburger. This week is going to be an adventure. Just like the beach with the Welches or the St. Thomas friends, the Dockerys, the Stearns, the Gagles. And always, Mommy in the middle of it, guiding the conversation, always in the center of action. Her mother, Mommy, once sighed and said, Celia always feels that the burden of the conversation rests with her. But of course, her greatest adventure was the big house, the Connor Taylor house. Or should I say, her greatest adventure was all of us in the big house. When I think of that 19-year-old sitting with that Shakespeare book, writing out the names of her children yet to be, I bet her greatest dream was all of us. I bet that was her greatest dream. This great rollicking family in her mind, all gathered around that great kitchen. And in that dream of hers, in the great adventure, we're all there and we're laughing and telling stories and arguing politics and telling jokes on one another, and yes, having the time of our lives. And we will gather in the future in all kinds of groups. And it doesn't have to be in the big house, but anywhere. Wherever we gather as a family, there will be Mom's spirit of adventure and fun. She's left that with us. And I need to say this. I am proud of us, Frankie, Paul, Jeff. I'm proud of us for making it possible for Mama to spend her final days at the beloved big house. When all 4 of us came together at her bedside this Friday, just us, in her own room, the beloved big house, we all said, we're all here now, Mama. We're okay. It's okay. We're all here. You're in God's hands. In their good hands. We're okay, and you can go on to your next adventure. We put a CD of hymns to play, began talking to one another, and looked up. She was gone. Gone on to her next adventure. But then last night, when Bess and Charlesy came over and we were all sitting around the kitchen telling stories and laughing together, I could almost imagine Mama right there in the middle of it all. Her spirit of generosity, of adventure, of fun, of that great will to live, to make a difference, that great will to be here. She just wants so much to be here. I think she is here. In my imagination, when I see that 19-year-old girl in that English class, I just want to take the book off of her lap, pick that book up, look at her in the eye and say, the dreams that you are dreaming will come true in ways that you can't even imagine. Thank you, Celia Taylor, for your great dynamic life. Thank you for your persistence and your imagination and your energy for us. Thank you for your great love. Thank you for your generosity of spirit. Thank you for your dreams that became our adventures. Yours was a life very well lived. I want to say thank you to that young girl and to say you will live such a great life and touch so many people. Your love will live on. Your love will live on. So now to quote the Shakespeare that you were reading. Farewell. May flights of angels sing thee to thy rest. Amen.